Ready to go?
All right. What was the consensus out of that, Ben? It felt like they kicked away a little bit at the end, maybe the sting had come out of the game a bit, so how do you sort of assess it?
Yeah, it's a bit like this with practice matches. Obviously, we got what we wanted out of it. Boys unscathed, got some more minutes into some of our youth. And obviously, late in those games, you flip the magnets, take a few guys off. So it does, but all in all, happy with how it went.
You talk about a couple of those younger talents just a little bit sharp, and it seemed like he was covering a lot of ground and getting into contests at both flanks in the same passages. What did you make of him?
No, spot on. Let's say the same with a lot of our young guys, especially Sharp. I thought when you go to these games, you wonder if they can maintain the rage and keep up with the pace of the game. And Sharp's definitely one for deep in the fourth quarter who's still turning up to contests. So really pleased with his game as well with all the development of the young guys. So as I said, you're playing pretty much all of them that are available, and they all showed signs at different times.
Saw a lot of Zach Johnson was doing a lot of sprint work over summer and a few different things to work on his game. He's made a really hot start in the first 2 weeks. Is he looking like a pretty important part of your backline at the moment?
Oh, there's a lot of guys pushing for spots. I think Zach, I think when he was drafted, he was one of the youngest in the draft. He did no pre-season, so being able to just put together a full pre-season at his age has been awesome. Taking some good strides in the way he defends and attacks. So he's obviously a great ball user. But you add in Kondo and even Farrow, all those young boys, they're really impressive, but they are young.
So does that mean that looking at your defensive mix for round one against Hawthorn, you have to balance a bit of that youth with experience? You can't kind of go all in on the three that you've been running in the last couple of games?
Yeah, 100%. You've got to balance it out. We've got a few guys like Redmond was back today. He didn't play in the first one, so he's had some minutes. So we've been mixing up who plays on the wing at different stages. I think when you've got a young side, it's hard to know what your best set positions are. So we've had a full look at it for 2 weeks. We probably flicked the magnets too much at times today, but we just need to see it all. So we'll be able to sit down as a coaching group and really get a handle on what looks best.
Lockie Blackstone's pretty impressive in the Ruck today. Shaping up as your round one Ruck option?
Yeah, he's definitely leading the charge. He's had 2 good hit-outs. Obviously, Marshall and DeConing today, he's been able to do it against the best. So, we've got young Vizentini as well, who's had a good pre-season. Nick Bryan's back to full training off his ACL. Exciting for him, the prospect of what's ahead, but there is some depth there as well.
I think it's probably been about 3 years since you've had Darcy Parish and Kyle Langford fully fit going to round one, looking really good today. Probably sort of the more influential players. How much has that sort of lifted the group that they've been able to overcome their injury troubles and it looks really influential on the field?
Yeah, it's important for a young group to have those type of players who have, are senior players to lead them out there. I think he's looking great, Darcy. But what that does for Sharp and Farrow and all these young blokes, Roberts inside, they've got some guys to model off, which hasn't always been there. So for him to come back, talk about his game instead of his body with me this year as midfield coach has been great, and I think he's just enjoying it. And I know it's been a while. I don't think he's played too much since I've been at the club, but he's impressive. It's good.
You had a bunch of players that didn't really feature until half-time. Was that just a management decision or balance?
Yeah, I think it was always planned that Dersman would take him off, Righty would take him off in the third. So there was a few guys that were managing. We tried to stick, I'm not really sure what the numbers were in the end, but the interchange cap, we tried to stick onto that. I think we may have changed late with taking a few guys off to try and prep for round one. So, it was always part of their program. And like I said, injury-free, which is the main thing. And to also stay near to what the cap limit was also important for us today.
Someone like Reid, you talk about players who have had some injury misfortunes. How did you assess him and how's he gone through the summer?
Yeah, he's good. I think Reedy's like an elite talent. He really got going in the game, especially I think it was Sydney last year early on, kind of put his name on the map a bit, and then unfortunately got injured. So he hasn't missed a beat. But I think even in his words too, he also didn't miss a beat last pre-season. So even though he didn't play the back half of last year, he still had 2 full pre-seasons. So seeing him there, work on some synergy there with Mackay, even Blackiston, you always got to work with the ruck a little bit, has been great. So, he looks in good touch.
Zach Merritt played a bit more of the back half. Is that just part of the midfield rotation?
Yeah, he played there in the last. I think, Zach's one who's probably compromised with his prep with us because he played in the State of Origin game. So he's also using it as a hit out too. State of Origin, he was more up forward, so he had to play a bit of everywhere. One to get used to covering the ground, a bit more contact. So I think for all those guys who played State of Origin, they're finding their way back into their side's lineup.
Will Archie Perkins be in the frame for round one? Was he able to get enough minutes today to sort of make his case for Hawthorn? Does he need more time to build into the season?
Yeah, I think Manny Innes has done a great job of making all these guys primed to come back. He's done some big loads in his sessions, 14 plus K sessions for a while now. It's not like he's just come back out of nowhere. And we're doing the same with a lot of others. So he's definitely in contention. It was good to see him at AFL level today. We'll go back and review it, but definitely in the mix.
What happens over the next, 13 days through to that match? How do the footy is about to be in, you've got the pre-season away, what happens in the next little while?
Yeah, well, we've got, tomorrow we've got a lot of boys playing who are also in for contention as well. We've got Jones and Cox returning tomorrow, which is exciting, so we'll go out and see that. And there's also another VFL game next week, which will determine who needs minutes, but all prep now, it's kind of like the hard work's done. I think Matty's given them a good pre-season. I think we're pretty solid in terms of how we want to play. Now it's just putting the puzzles together and probably training a bit of those scenarios in game that we just want to tidy up. But also, we've got some selection dilemmas too with some guys returning and also, we're still running 8 on the bench. I know a few came on later in the game, but there's decisions to be made.
That'll be the end of a long wait for Nick Cox. How's he feeling? And what kind of role is he then playing over the pre-season?
Yeah, well, the thing with Nick, he did start over the pre-season. I know he's come back a bit, but he did get a little bit of body of work early, which was good. So, he's going to look to play forward and on the wing at times, the same as Connor Jones. But he's enjoying being out there again. He's an athletic freak. You forget how good he is when you actually see him up close, the way he covers the ground. So, especially those two tomorrow, exciting to watch.
Archie Roberts was pretty terrific today. How is he taking his game to the next level?
Yeah, he's the ultimate team man, Archie. I love coaching him. I think just let him go a bit early. It's kind of, don't think too much do with him. He's a natural footballer, can swing into any position during the game when you call on him. So, I think it's one that we've enjoyed watching grow around the midfield. He's just such a powerful runner. So I think he balances off those inside as well.
Just Isaac Kakady, do you know where he's at? Is he a chance to play the Hawks?
Yeah, 100% is a chance. Like those others, he's doing some big sessions. It's just, he's pushing for round one. But those are kind of the decisions we'll see closer to the time. I think, they'll kind of answer themselves, but he's definitely in the mix.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chief.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.